We said from the day one that what is project? Project is temporary. It has a definite start, it has a definite end. And whenever you will do the project, there will always be the unique output. This output could be a product, a service, or a result. Product means the tangible thing. Service means like I'm giving you the facilitation service, or it could be the result like you have done the gap analysis or assessment or testing results or something. So every organization, whenever it wants to do a project, whenever we start the project, we have to answer three questions. What is the project? How much it's going to cost? And what will be the return on investment? So based upon that, what happens actually? We do the projects because of the reasons why we are doing the project. It could be the customer needs it. It could be the technological requirement, maybe upgrade or the new. It could be the government requirement. It could be the legal requirement. It could be the product cycle is finished and you have to start a new product. Or it could be maintenance service or shutdown. So these are the reasons we undertake the project generally. So when you go to answers how much, what is the project, then you will find out how much is the cost. So first we will have the high level estimates, right? And these high level estimates, if I give you the background, they are coming based upon assumptions. And when we were making assumptions, actually what we have done, the business analyst has performed what? Gap analysis. And gap analysis came along with feasibility study, which contains that what is the gap, how can we fulfill it, what options are available to fulfill the gap, what are their technological, technical, and operational feasibilities, what will be the benefit to cost ratio, and how it will fit in the project in the current organization requirement. When this feasibility study is submitted to the management, so what will happen? Feasibility study will be reviewed by those people and they will give you approval from those available options. So they will choose, let's suppose, project A. When they select project A, now business analyst will now prepare business documents. Now, what are the business documents? Business documents are the business case, which contains the reason why we are doing the project, what are the objectives, and benefits management plan, which contains the financials calculations like NPV, IRR, ROI, cost payback period, and benefit to cost ratio. Assumptions you have made it, what will be the higher level risk, who will be the benefit owner, so you can relate with him, and what will be the strategic alignment of your organization or the customer for performing the project. So this will be the task done pre-project. These are what? Pre-project tasks done by the business analyst. So once you have selected and you have the answers and you have submitted this information, so now business case and benefits management plan is ready. So what we are going to do, the customer organization or the buyer organization will do what? Will hire a person called, it could be a person, it could be a group of person, it could be internal or external. A sponsor will be accompanying with business case plus benefits management plan plus agreements between them, between customer and sponsor. And what they will do, they will advertise the opportunity, and ultimately the agreement will be made with the now this could be the type of agreement. It could be the fixed price contract, it could be the cost reimbursable contract, it could be the time and material type of contract, depending on the type and size of the project. And you have already done the selection criteria, that which type of people can submit the bids and so on. So there will be bidders conference where the people will answer the sellers questions and so on. Once the things are done, then there will be a triangle set by the organizations. One side will be the customer, one side will be the sponsor, and one side will be the sponsor. They will sign an agreement, and a sponsor will ultimately issue a document called project chart, which will bind these parties together. What project charter contains? High-level statement of work, that what works needs to be done. What are the strategic alignment of the project with the organizations? What are the major milestones? What will be the exit criteria from the project? Approvals requirements, if any. Most importantly, project, uh, major milestones, and who will be the project manager and what will be the authority, and who will be the sponsor and what will be the authority, and initial list of stakeholders. Project charter is issued to the seller. So this is what our uh, customer, sponsor, and seller tribe. They are bounded by the project charter, and then there will be the agreement also. So when the project charter is ready, the project manager will start creating a document called stakeholder register. Yasir, I have seen your hand, but let me finish it. I will forget the flow. So let me finish it, then I will answer your question. Just keep it noted. So stakeholder register will be created, which will contain the name of the stakeholder, the available stakeholders. You cannot not identify all the stakeholders on the first day. So as many you can identify, and you will find out who are they, what are their contact informations. And by stakeholder analysis, you will find out they are unaware, resistant, supportive, leading, or neutral. What are their requirements and expectations from the project? So once a stakeholder register is ready, so now project manager will start planning. So this was here, if I put the dotted line here, it completes our initiating process group in the project. What happens in the initiating process group? Charter is issued and a stakeholder register is prepared. When this is done, the planning process group will start. And when we are planning the process group, what will happen? The first thing we will start preparing the management plan. The first one will be the project management plan, which contains how the project will be planned, executed, monitored, and controlled and closed. Along with this project management plan, what will happen? Project manager will go to the PMO to release some resources. When we will go to PMO, so we have three types of PMO: supportive, controlling, or directive. And what is the purpose of PMO? Provide resources to the project managers, provide communications to the project manager, provides training or mentoring to the project manager, and most important, standardizations, policies, procedures, guidelines. So in supportive, they just provide. In controlling, they provide and guide. And in directive, decision making will be done by the PMO. Project manager will only manage or control the resources. So when we will go to PMO, that please release the resources, they will ask them the question, sir, where is your charter and your name? He will issue this charter to them, and ultimately PMO will start releasing the resources on early basis. For sure, you don't need any resources because we will work with the concept of just in time resources. When PMO will release the resources, the same thing as I said on the first day, there will be the project managers and here will be the resource managers. And if required, we could have external like customer or sponsor. We'll put the charter here and we'll discuss the thing. What is the project? What are the high level milestones, assumptions, risk, constraints? And then these manager will go and start preparing the management plans. The first thing which will be done is what scope management plan, that how the scope will be prepared, and requirements management plan, that how the requirements will be collected, documented, and organized. So in scope management plan, we will set that how scope is prepared. In requirements management plan, we will set the strategy that which type of stakeholders we will collect the requirement by brainstorming, by facilitations, by focus group, by questionnaire, by surveys, by interviews, by showing the prototype, or by doing the benchmarking, by doing the cost benefit analysis, by showing the matrix diagram, or by using any other tool in text, context diagram, affinity diagram, mind mapping. And if we have conflicts, we can do the group decision making. So these things are decided. So now once requirement management plan is ready, now collect requirement will start. Collect requirement is the name of the process. Okay. So collect requirement will be started. And when you will start collecting the requirements, so in predictive, we called it requirement. In agile, we call them user stories. So when we collect the requirement, there will be so many papers. So what we will do, we will collect all those papers in a single document called requirement traceability matrix, which contains all the requirements from their origin to destination, which satisfy them. Once requirement traceability matrix is ready, you will be in the position to define the project scope statement, which is again multi-pages document. and it will be like it contains all the things which is required in the project: quality requirement, functional requirement, non-functional requirement, stakeholder requirement, business requirement, project exclusion requirement, what will be the acceptance criteria, what will be the plus minus tolerances, what will be the escalation guidelines. So all will be there. When this multi-pages document is there, to make it visual, we will create a document called WBS, which contains the first level will be the project, second level will be the control account, and the last level will be the work packages. What are work packages? It contains some activities, and every work package will produce a deliverable. So when all the work breakdown structure is there, we'll issue another document called WBS dictionary, which contains the name of the resources. And these three documents contains in a single thing called a scope baseline. When this scope baseline will be ready, according to us, we will submit to the customer and sponsors. That's what we are looking for. That is what we have understood. There could be many changes, and anything can be changed as of now. But once everything is signed and accepted, so it means it becomes the scope baseline. So anything now will be changed in the baseline. So baselines can only be changed with the help of change request. No one can change it without change request. Once the scope baseline is ready, now the people will start. Who will start? The schedule management plan will be prepared, at how to prepare the schedule, and cost management plan and all other management plan will start being prepared, like a resource management plan, risk management plan, communication management plan, stakeholder engagement plan, procurement management plan. These all plans will be prepared after the scope baseline. And once these management plans are already being prepared, so other activities will be done, like you will start defining the activities from the work package. Then you will sequence the activities based upon their relationship: finish to start, start to start, finish to finish, and start to finish, or the mandatory dependencies which cannot be changed, or discretionary dependencies which can be changed. We call them soft logic or preferential logic. Or it could be the external dependencies which are not in our control, or it is called as internal dependency, which means that these are resource-based dependencies. So we have to manage accordingly. And by the help of leads or lags, what is lead? The lead, you can start an activity earlier than its planned time, or lag, mandatory waiting time. So with the help of leads and lags, and with the help of float, what is float? You can delay an activity without delaying the end date of the project. What is free float? You can delay an activity without delaying the start of next activity. So by keeping in mind the flow, the lead, and the lags, you will prepare the project schedule. Once project schedule is ready, you will submit to the management the Gantt chart. This Gantt chart will be shown to the customer and also the organization. So they will look at it, or maybe the PMO, they will look at it, and it's possible they will ask you to reduce it. If they ask you to reduce the duration, you will perform what if scenario analysis, where you will check that how can we reduce it. So you can run Monte Carlo simulations, that what are the chances to finish the project in less number of days, and what will be the cost, and what will be the constraints. You can use sensitivity analysis also, that out of all those risks which can cause the project objectives. Similarly, when you are performing the estimations, you can use analogous estimation from past, parametric from mathematical, bottom-up detailed, or if we have uncertainties, we can use three-point estimations. And by doing the reserve analysis, we can use critical chain method, which will allow us to place buffer between the activities. If our schedule is very unbalanced, we can perform resource leveling, which means we'll balance the working hours on daily basis. In that case, our baseline may change. Or resource smoothing, if we have a load on the critical path and the other paths are a bit relaxed, so we'll acquire some resources from non-critical paths and put them on critical path activities. So you can release some tension on the critical path activities, so you can meet the deadlines. So once your schedule baseline is approved, in the same time, you will be preparing the cost baseline. What is cost baseline? It contains all the work packages plus contingency reserves. What are the contingency reserves? They are added in the estimates for known risk or known impact, or known risk, unknown impact. And once we add management reserve in the cost baseline, it becomes a project budget. Project manager only get the amount of cost baseline. Management reserve stays with the client or with the PMO or with the organization, and can only be released when there is uncertain situation with the help of change request. You will also issue the project funding requirement, how you need the fund. So that's how the cost baseline is also being issued. And for sure, when you were issuing the cost baseline, you will also add the cost of risk, like and contingency reserves already included, cost of quality, any risk-based cost, that what you will do with those things, what will be the quality level, which type of quality you will use it. Then while you are preparing for the quality, you will make sure that what type of working standards are required. Like if you are looking for 98.5, so do we have the capability of producing a deliverable which can be of 98.5? If not, we will perform the cost, we will spend on cost of conformance, like destruction testing, like maintenance of the equipments or processes or training, so we can make less number of errors. And we will check it with the help of managed quality. We'll make sure that there are not many errors. And when the deliverable is produced, we'll perform the quality control. And we have 7 quality tools: the run chart, histogram, scatter diagram, root cause analysis. We have tally sheets, or we have the control chart. So by using 7 tools of quality, some can be used in planning, some can be used in assurance, and some can be used in control. And we have another thing called design for X, where what we do, we perform, we add something to our deliverable to increase the life, security, reliability of the deliverable. Similarly, when we are doing the risk, in risk management plan, we check the risk appetite of the stakeholders, that they are risk averse, neutral, or seekers. Based upon that, we perform the categorization of the risk, what will be low, medium, and high. So based upon that, once this criteria is defined, we will start identifying the risk owner, who will be the risk owner. And when all the risks are identified, or possibly risk identified, we will sort them out with the help of qualitative risk analysis, with the help of risk ranking metrics, or we call it project risk impact metrics, where we have all positive and negative risk, and we arrange them as low to high, and from here low to high. So we can classify low, medium, and high risk. If still we have uncertainties, then we run the quantitative risk analysis. We can use a sensitivity analysis, tornado diagram. We can use Monte Carlo simulations. We can use decision tree for this purpose. So we can find out what are the chances to finish the project in some time, or what are the things which can impact the project objectives. What are the project objectives? Scope, schedule, cost, or quality. So you have done the risk management also. In the same time, when you are calculating, you will also calculate the resource management plan, that which type of resources you need. If they need any training, what will be the cost of it? So you can add in the cost baseline. What type of material you need, so you can add also in the cost baseline. What type of equipment you need, so you can also add it in the estimates. So in resource management plan, you have already known that which type of resources you need. You will estimate how many of them need. So you will acquire them accordingly, and we will acquire just in time resources, not before the time. And once we will acquire them, we will develop them with the help of Tuckman ladder theory, which is what forming, get them together, storming, let them meet with each other, let them resolve the conflicts. So that once the storming stage is over, they will become normal. They will be ready to perform. So we will send them for performance. So they will be managing by themselves. And then once all the work is finished, so adjournment. We can manage them with the help of expert power, referent power, penalty power, or formal power, the chair power, or expert power. And if there are conflicts, we can resolve their conflicts by finding out that they are at which level: level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, or level 5. And we can use the resource management conflict techniques like avoid, smooth, collaborate, force, or we can do the compromise. And if nothing is happening, we can go for arbitration. If nothing is happening, then we can go to the court. Similarly, for the risk management, the risk response, we can prepare it. We can accept the risk, and risk is of 2 types, acceptance of 2 types, passive or active. In active acceptance, we do allocate the contingency reserve, which means we are acknowledging the risk. In passive acceptance, we let it go, and we think that whenever the time will come, then we will do it. So we will fund it from management reserves, and the action which we will take is called as workarounds. When we are implementing the risk response, it is also possible that because of this risk response, a secondary risk can arise. So you have to be ready for it. And the identification of secondary risk or new risk guidelines are already defined in the risk management plan, that how to deal with them. And for that, we will continue the monitor risk to make sure that new risks are arising, or what is the old thing. Also in the execution, the risk action owner will keep implementing the risk responses provided by the risk owner. What are the risk responses for negative risk, which we call threats? You can avoid it. If you cannot avoid it, mitigate it, reduce the impact. If you cannot do it, transfer the ownership of the risk to the third party. For the opportunities of positive risk, we can exploit it, make sure that we should do it. Enhance it. We can enhance the things at the time of planning, or we can share it if we don't have the expertise instead of letting it go. And if we cannot do it, so we will, in both cases, escalate it. So these were the risk strategies, response strategies, which risk action owner has to implement it. If it is not happening, he will escalate to the project manager. So I tried all the things based on the trigger conditions provided by the risk owner, and it didn't work. So be ready. So risk is going to be converted into issue. And project manager will be handling the stakeholders throughout by keeping them collaborated with the help of ground rules, with the help of team charter. He will be managing the resources as well as the stakeholders. And throughout the project, according to the communication management plan and stakeholder engagement plan, the stakeholders will be engaged and communicated project status reports. And on those basis, decision making will be done. We could have a formal meetings with the customers, or we can have informal meetings between ourselves to understand where we are standing and how can we complete the project. So that's how we will continue the whole project. And whenever we will have changes, so for changes, there is always a thing called change management plan. What is change management plan? It provides again the guidelines that how the changes will happen in the project, who can approve the changes, who can define the changes. The purpose of change management plan is to define the flow chart that whenever the new change is filed, who will evaluate the change? For sure, the project manager will evaluate the change, that how this change is going to impact the project. Then he will submit it to the change control board. Who is change control board? Is the combination of customer, sponsor, and other experts. And people from my organization and me as a project manager can also sit in the meeting. Change control board will look at the change request and will look at the recommendations of the project manager, whether to accept or reject the change. If they accept it, if they accept the change, so you will update your baselines, because baselines can only be changed with the help of change request. So baselines will be updated and will be given to the execution team. So execution team will work according to the new baseline. And this circle will continue throughout the project. And throughout the project, you will keep doing the monitoring and controlling. When all the work is finished, quality control team will go. All the work of the phase or procurement or the project. So quality control team will go and do the inspection of the deliverable. If they think that it is fine with the checklist or it fulfills the acceptance criteria, they will verify it. And quality assurance team will look at the, or assurance team will look at the submittals, that all the financials are submitted and they are cleared. No pendings are required. So they will go to perform administrative closure, which means we'll go towards the validate scope, where we will ask the customer to accept the deliverable. Once he accepted, we'll perform administrative closure, which means collecting all the documents, putting them together and putting them in a file. And we have to collect the supplier evaluation, and we have to do a project and report that how we were expecting and how it went, what were the mistakes. So these things will be updated in the lesson learned registers in OPA. So in the next projects, we can get the benefits, and the reports will be submitted to the relevant stakeholders. Team will be released accordingly, and then project manager will also be released from his duties, and he can start a new project. If there are claims open, project manager cannot release himself. He may release the team, but he cannot release himself until all the claims are finished, if they are legal. So that's how the whole project management happens in terms of PMP, in terms of predictive life cycle. That whatever you are doing in terms of predictive life cycle, whatever I explained, it's all reflect the predictive life cycle, where I try to add all 10 knowledge areas and a small flow of the things, that how these things happen. So whenever you will watch the video, it will help you to do the perfect revision for the project management in terms of predictive life cycle. So project integration management means the same thing as that we perform the gap analysis. And when we perform the gap analysis, what happens? We are actually looking to what we call it feasibility studies, business case, benefits management plan. So business analysts prepare all the document, and then the first process starts, develop project chart. As I said, it was the previous style, but it was good in terms of remembering the things. So to make the project charter, I need a document called feasibility study, business case, benefits management plan, agreements. Agreements like the same fixed price, cost reimbursable, time and material, or agile contracts. So once we have all these things, we will hire the seller and we will start the process project charter. The sponsor will prepare the project charter and issue the project charter in the name of seller. When the project charter is issued, what happens? From the first day, the project manager, he will do, he will keep the assumptions log ready from the first day, that you made the assumptions that we will do this, but it's not happening, or the assumptions are different than what were expected at the time of feasibility study. So when the project charter is ready and approved, which contains high-level scope of work, assumptions, constraints, risk, major milestones, exit criteria from the project, and most importantly, project manager name and authority, sponsor name and authority, and initial list of stakeholders, then project manager will make another document called stakeholder register. Based upon the stakeholder register, he will start working to prepare the project management plan, and then the project management plan will produce. Now, project management plan, this is the same thing what you were asking us, sir, that project management plan contains 10 management plans. What are the 10 management plans? Scope management plan, requirements management plan, schedule management plan, cost management plan, risk quality management plan, resource management plan, risk management plan, communication management plan, stakeholder engagement plan, and procurement management plan. 10 management plans, 3 baselines: scope baseline, which contains scope statement, WBS and WS dictionary, schedule baseline, and cost baseline. It also contains quality matrix. It also contains the estimates you have done, estimates and basis of estimates. It also has the collect requirements in terms of requirement traceability matrix. It has a stakeholder register. It has a communication register. It has resource breakdown structure. It has product breakdown structure. It also has organization breakdown structure. It also has the risk responses in the document. So these all are the things. So 10 management plans, 3 baselines, all the documents which you have produced, Gantt chart also, and most importantly, change management plan and configuration management system. What is configuration management system? It maintains the configuration of the product, that how the changes were made and what were the reasons. So configuration management plan actually maintains the version of the product. That is, was the version 1, version 2, version 3. And it also contains the governance, that how you can make the changes in the project requirement. So once 10 management plans, 3 baselines, configuration management system, and change management systems, and all the project documents are compiled, they will be submitted as a big file called project management plan, submitted to the sponsor. The sponsor will review with the experts and customer, and once approved, then it will be given to the, we don't give the whole plan to the execution team. Instead, we give them the performance measurement baseline. This is what performance measurement baseline. Performance measurement baseline is called as the combination of scope, schedule, and cost baseline. So instead of giving them so many documents, we give them performance measurement baselines. And when performance measurement baseline comes to the execution team, just start working. You don't need to worry about the process name, direct and manage project work. So when execution team starts working, they produce the deliverable. And while producing the deliverable on daily basis, they issue the work performance data, that how much, that what work we have done today. And if there were issues, how we handle them. So issues were actually reported to the project knowledge, where you are maintaining the lesson register, that what issue came, how you resolve it. So you can keep it as a lesson and use it for the future. When you issue the work performance data, it goes to the monitor and controlling team. Monitor and controlling team do what? They convert the data into information and produce the reports and submit to the stakeholders with the help of communication management plan, or according to communication management plan and stakeholder engagement plan. When the reports reaches to the stakeholders, which reports, various reports, forecasting reports, status reports, progress reports, when they reaches to the stakeholders, they wish to produce change request. The procedure of change request is same. A change request is filed by the stakeholders. It will come to the project manager. Project manager is not the decision maker, but it is his job to evaluate the change request, the impact of the change request on project objectives, and write down his recommendation that whether to approve or reject the change, and submit this change request to the change control board. Change control board look at the change, and if they are unable to find out why this change is necessary, they look at the charter, because charter contains the strategic alignment. So whenever the change is made, we look at, does this change align to the project strategic alignment or not? So if they think that yes, this aligned with the business case, benefits management plan, and charter, they approve the change request. When they approve the change request, so this whole process of submitting to the change control board happens in integrated change control. When they approve the change request, baselines are updated and other project documents are updated, and the new performance measurement baseline is given to these people. And then they start working and producing the deliverable and performance data. And then They submit the reports. If there is change request filed, goes to the change control board. They approve it, and then it goes back as performance measurement baseline. So this process continues throughout the project. Once all the work is finished, then in the monitoring and controlling, we ask the quality control team to verify the product. Once they verify it, we go to customer to validate a scope for the acceptance. Once the customer has done validated scope, which means he accepted it, then we go to the close project phase, which means we will go and perform the transition of the deliverable from project to operations. We will hand it over to the operations, and we will submit all the final reports to the relevant stakeholders, and we'll perform the lesson learned, and we'll do the review meeting that how the project went well or what happened and what we have to do next time or what we don't have to do next time. So that is what the perfect predictive project revision, second type. Okay, guys, things are good. So it's like third time you had a whole revision. And now let me take you to the agile part. And this is the last exam we already discussed yesterday. So for sure, it will take 15 minutes maximum. Don't worry about it. Okay, so we said that agile will happen because we have what uncertainties in the project. So in 2000, before 2000, where is my pen? In 2000 till 2000, whatever that agile is mostly used in service industry and mostly IT. So they were using the application, developing the applications in different ways, but everyone was doing in a different style. So they found out that it will be a big mess when the world is growing. So in 2000, there were 17 owners of different software houses. They went on a vacation, like as a conference, and they sit together. And when they come out with the Agile Manifesto. What was the Agile Manifesto? That individuals and their interactions are more important than following the processes and tools which we do in the predictive. Because as I said, in predictive, we had 49 processes. So they said, team will remember the processes or team will work. Why we are putting the team in the hell of the processes, and instead of spending the time on logic, they're spending the time on processing. Keep the team separate from this task. So they said individuals and their interactions are more important than following the processes and tools, which are like in PMP so many. They said working software is more important than comprehensive documentation. And the example is this: in before we have to have comprehensive documentation like submitting the reports and this and that, Agile says leave it and use the burn up or burn down chart. We call them information radiators. They says use information radiators than producing the comprehensive documentation. Do not engage the team here, whether team performance will be measured based upon the working software, not doing the documentation. For sure, documentation is required if it is the legal requirement or government requirement, but try to keep it as minimum as possible. Do not let the team do these tasks. Customer collaboration is more important than doing the contract negotiations, because when we negotiate for the prices, so quality and quantity are inversely proportional. So those people who understand that if you are working for value and if you are negotiating for those things more than the required thing, no, it was not in the contract, I will not do it. So that was what our predictive approach, deliverable approach. We resist for changes or changing the scope. So this says we are working for value, and if the customer is not happy, so no benefit. So they said customer collaboration is more important than contract negotiations. And similarly, responding to a change is more important than following a plan. So again, you are resisting to the change. So this was the Agile Manifesto decided by those 17 people. So there are 17 organizations which issues the Scrum certificates or Agile certificates in the world. So this is the Agile Manifesto. There will be 3 questions from it, at least 3 questions from this slide itself. That what is the Agile Manifesto? And this Agile Manifesto compiles on 12 principles. There are 12 principles which are similar to them. This is the part of PMI ACP. They are not going to ask you these 12 principles here in it, but just for information. Based upon these 4 manifesto, there are 12 principles. You must remember this because there will be at least 3 to 5 questions from this slide itself. That individuals and interactions are more important than following the processes and tools. Do not throw the team in comprehensive documentation. Instead, let them work on softwares. Contract negotiation is not a good thing. Better you collaborate with the customer and respond to a change than just following the plan. In predictive, what was happening? Scope was fixed, time and cost were changing. In agile, what we did, we said functionality will keep changing until we achieve the value. Scope and time, sorry, cost and time will remain fixed. Remain fixed means the iteration time is 1 to 6 weeks. It will remain fixed throughout the project. It will not change. But we can keep adding the value in every iteration. No problem. To perform the agile project, we divided the project manager role into 3 things. Product owner, who is the voice of customer, and he works for the requirement. He works for the requirement or maximize, he performs to work to increase the value or maximize the value. We have the coach, or in Scrum, we call it Scrum Master. He provides servant leadership and he facilitates the team if they are unable to find the solution. And team is what we call it T-shaped team, which means they are generalizing a specialist. One can do one thing best and other things also. So they can balance the task by themselves. They can meet the deadlines by themselves. They can resolve their conflicts by themselves. They can do the work by themselves. If something is not happening, then they will contact Scrum Master on daily basis or in the review meeting to resolve the problem. He will contact product owner or any other person to remove the challenges. There are 3 things. It could be obstacles, which are the roadblockers, or impediments, the challenges which the team is facing, like approvals, requirements. So you need to know that obstacles, impediments, they all will be removed by the coach or Scrum Master. So the whole team is what? Self-organizing and T-shaped team, multiple talents. We call them cross-functional. One can do one thing. So they are expert of one thing, but they can do other things by themselves. In predictive one, we had a command and control with the help of documentation. In agile, we call them information radiators. We use Kanban board. We use a burn down chart. We use burn up charts. So we use these charts. These charts are low tech and high touch. While in predictive, we have high tech and low touch tools. So that's why agile is preferred, that everyone can easily understand. And when they can understand, it means the collaboration is very high. Every team will have their own Scrum Master or coach. So if we have multiple teams, we can have a Scrum of a Scrum, or we call them coach, or we call them Chief Scrum Master or Chief Product Owner or Chief Coach. It depends. So you can scale it up to as many teams. So there will be another Scrum Master. So there will be another one. So there will be another one. So everyone will be facilitating others. What happens in the Scrum or Agile? That in predictive, we collect the requirements and we define the project scope statement, and then we prepare the WBS. In Agile, we or the product owner is responsible to collect the requirements with the help of the team. And what they do, they create a document called Apex. What is Apex? It contains many user stories inside. What are user stories? User stories is actually the elicitation of requirements from each user, because they cannot explain them. So we select with the help of wireframe or sketch or something, low fidelity or high fidelity wireframe. We collect the requirements in the top form of user stories, and we collect all user stories in the form of Apex. When we collect user stories, we perform the persona analysis, and we assign persona for each person to better understand the person, that what type of person he or she is and what are his requirements and expectations. So when we collect all these things in Apex, we put them in a document called product backlog, which contains all these user stories unsynchronized. So with the help of team and product owner and team are responsible to synchronize or arrange the product backlog based upon those user stories, which will provide highest return on the top and which are having highest risk. Once the work is committed, product owner and team agree that this is the work and these are the user stories on the top. Now, based upon that, there will be a planning meeting of the sprint or iteration. In planning or iteration meeting, we said it's all time. So in that planning meeting, one team, not for all the team, every team will have their own planning meeting and multiple teams can work concurrently. So in every planning meeting, they will take some user stories, and then they will decompose the user stories into tasks, and then they will estimate. And for estimation, they don't use they use analogous parametric bottom up, but apart of that, they use more entertaining way, that they use t-shirt sizing, they use relative weighting, which means 1 to 5 based on the all scales, or Fibonacci series. And this whole activity is called as planning poker. They use planning poker to estimate the things. So once they have the user story, they decompose into tasks and they assign the story points to each task or each user story. That each user story will take so many story points. Story point means efforts required to complete the user story. So team will start working in the sprint or in the iteration. A sprint can be 1 to maximum 6 weeks. Every agile have a different maximum. You can go to 6 weeks. While completing the sprint, there will be a daily stand-up meeting of 15 minutes where every person has to answer of the team member to the coach or scrum master what you did yesterday, what you will do today, and what are your impediment, challenges, or blockers or obstacles. He will not solve it. He will solve it later on, but as of now, he will do it. Once the sprint is finished or iteration is finished, then there will be an iteration review or sprint review meeting where team will demonstrate a deliverable. And if they don't like it, they will take the new requirements and update in the product backlog, and it will be prioritized. Then iteration backlog will be created, and then iteration will start, and the same practice will continue. They do not make changes in the same sprint, they make the changes in the next sprint, because they have to do what? They have to groom the product backlog. That okay, we are making the change, but we will check that are there any user stories which have more priority or not. If the work is accepted, they will perform the finished work and they will release it as per the schedule. And after every review meeting, there will be a retrospect meeting for continuous improvement or lesson learned, that what went wrong, what we should continue doing it, what we should stop doing it, and what innovation strategies we can adapt. So that's how the agile project works, and they keep running the iterations. These iterations can be concurrently, simultaneously parallel to each other, or it could be depending on the dependencies, finish to start dependencies. When we were doing the sequencing of the activities in predictive, like mandatory dependency, discretionary dependency, or internal dependency, external dependency, in agile we prioritize it. And for prioritizations, we have schemes. Like simple scheme, you can give the customer that which things should be done first. Or there is a Moscow. What is Moscow? Must have, should have, could have, won't have. We'll go in detail. Monopoly money, which have the highest money, it will be done first. Or 100-point method, who have the highest point, it will be done first. Or multi-voting, or Kano analysis, which we are going to look now. So how can we prioritize the requirements in the product backlog or iteration backlog? M means must have. So the requirements which are on the must have, they should be on the top, then should have, then could have. Won't have features being those, although they would be nice to have, but are not necessary to be included. I don't care you had it or not. So must on the top, then should, then could, and then won't have. So that is what Moscow prioritization. You can sequence, or you can what we call it, sort the user stories, that who should be done first. This is one method of the prioritization. There will be 2 questions from this at least. Must have, should have, could have, and won't have. There is Kano analysis for the prioritization. It also has 4 things. Exciters, the things which excite the customer, they should be on the top. Satisfiers, that offers value to the customer, which they were not expecting. This satisfiers, if not present, customer will become angry. So it means they should be must have thing. Similarly, indifferent, I don't care whether it's not. So it's like won't have. So that's how you can prioritize the thing. That exciters on the top, dissatisfiers should be taken care. Satisfiers should also be there. So you can arrange accordingly. So that's how we perform Kano analysis for prioritization. For sure, there will be 2 to 3 questions from this slide also. Satisfier, dissatisfiers, exciters, disexciters. How the project planning happened, again, the same thing what I'm going to repeat. First, product backlog is created. Product backlog will be prioritized into user stories. Once user stories are done, then iteration backlog. You will break the product backlog into iterations or a sprint. And then you will say that in release 1, I will be able to finish this task. In release 2, I will be able to send these 2 deliverables. Everything we call time box. A sprint will remain 1 to 6 weeks. 15 minutes of daily stand-up meeting. Planning meeting will always be, I said, 2 hours per week. And review meeting will be 1 hour per week. And retrospect also 1 hour per week type of size. How we prioritize the thing? Based upon the same formula, EMV is equals to P multiplied by I. So the thing which gives the most result, that will be on the top. And then this risk will be done. We said user stories, which contains the highest value and highest risk, will be done on the top. So that's how we call it. So I told you that first we will have the product backlog. Then it will be called as prioritized product backlog. And when you will come back from the review, it will become updated or groomed prioritized product backlog. So if you hear this word updated or groomed, it means it is after the changes. If you look prioritized product backlog, it means you have arranged it only. And if you look product backlog, it's unarranged. Similarly, for the changes which will produce most value will be on the top, and so how they will be executed with the user stories. We use information radiators instead of producing the comprehensive documentations. You can use Kanban boards to show the progress. So these are what low tech, high touch tools, so people can easily understand it, and collaboration level will be very high. And the purpose of Kanban board is to reduce the multitasking or limit the work in progress. So we can use burn down chart or burn up chart for one iteration or all the iterations. This can be the handwritten, handmade, or it could be the automated intelligent agents like business intelligence dashboards. So you can control the things easily and everyone can have a virtual lookup. We call it co-locations. And that's it.